Hey guys, and welcome back to another live stream as we forever get closer to the start of the AFLW season, and with that, the AFLW Fantasy season. So let's just jump into this, stream. I think this one will be one of the bigger ones, in preseason as we steadily get closer to the start of the season, as I said, because we did see some stats come up from the practice games, etc., over the last week as we had on the weekend. And so some players have gone from locks to nothing. Some players have shot up the sort of the pedestal. And so there is going to be a lot of info for this stream, which will be a good one to sort of go through and double check a lot of just a lot of stats that we can now start to use. And if you know me well, you know that I love my stat or two. And so it'll be a really good stream, this one anyway. But let's just jump into it. So to start off, if I grab that one there, the first port of call I would say is to just go through here and go through the stats from the practice games that we had on the weekend. So starting off, if we go through this all, you've got Bowers here, I think is a very, very common one that did really well. If you actually, you know what I can actually do to make it better for you guys, I can go all clubs and then go to the likes of Fremantle here, because we're talking about Fremantle to start, and go by ownership percentage so that we know where everything is at. So if we have it here, Bowers 112, that's exactly what we wanted to see. And one thing that you will see missing that is probably a little bit big or needs to be taken into consideration is the time on ground that a lot of these girls had. I will try and go off memory for a lot of them, because some of them did only play a half, etc. Especially the rucks, I should say. The rucks, a lot of them only played a half, so we just got to be careful of sort of writing them off, not right, etc. Because their tog was low. But really like the look of what Bowers did. 27 touches, 7 tackles. 7 tackles is probably a little bit light as well, but did her job. Stannard, I don't know if she was on managed minutes. From the scoring that she had, it gives potential of managed minutes. I'm not too concerned yet about that. That'll be a watch a little bit and just sort of, But I think Stannett's the type of one that she's priced at 761, which 761K, I believe, is in and around 766K. That is in and around that 58 marker, I'm led to believe. She will be in and around the top 5 or 6 forwards, I would expect. But will just be interesting to see if that if we truly do see that 46 sort of translate across. But I don't think it will. I think she will up her game a little bit, and that will be a little bit better across the year. One thing that is of note, and one thing I think sort of stands up against my against what I was saying in preseason, is that Strom did really, really poorly. 70. I don't remember if it was sorry, I'm going to need to drop and do something quickly. So let me just quickly do something and turn off an alarm. All right. What? All right. Mum set an alarm off to go right when I started, of course. But anyway, back to it. It was a wet game, etc. I think what I take out of this game, and let me actually bring this back up for you guys after that. What I take out of this game is that it kind of went to what I was expecting. I'm I think I said all preseason, Strom's probably going to drop down because she's not going to get the tackle numbers. And I think that's sort of what is playing out or has played out in at least a preseason game. I still do think Strom will be the ruck to grab. I just think that she's going to average probably around that 95 to 100 and not this 112 that we saw last year. And that's why I'm fading. I do think that Stanet will get better. I don't think she'll be a runaway sort of forward option. I think she'll be probably in and around that 75, 70 across the year. She'll have games where she goes to 50, 55. She'll also have games where she goes upwards of that sort of 90 marker because she gets onto a lot of tackles. Outside of that, I mean, you just see a lot of these girls that are sort of averaging around about that 70. It feels like everyone went about 20 below what you were expecting them to go. So, like Bowers, I think she'll go 110 most like outside of Bowers, I would say. Most of these girls went 20 or so below. You got Bowers 112, Strom 70, Stanitz 46 as well. You also had Indy Strom, the younger sister there, go 44. Don't think she's an option. And then you had O'Driscoll 45. I think she'll do better than that in the long run. And just some quick things about this game. Yeah, it was a wet game from my understanding. And that Newton probably to some would have played better, but obviously Bowers just finds and has a knack of getting those stats there. And then a little bit of a spoiler, but Wales was the top scoring ruck, which that's why I think there's a lot of sort of not debate, but well, I would say it is debate amongst the sort of fantasy community about what do we do with the ruck line. Because there are so many options, but they all have massive red flags in them. Moving on, I don't think there was any rookie that I really thought about and really stood out in this in that game for Freo. Then we move on to St Kilda. Now, let me just quickly set this across to St Kilda. Watson is the most highly owned, and then Wardlaw, Friend, and Patrios. So, McDonald went 23, 6 and 6. Do I expect her to really do that much? No. Do I really, if we just go to McDonald here, where is it? Where even is she? Mima McDonald? Molly McDonald. She could be the one that breaks out, but I don't expect it. So that's why I'm not really taking too much to hand of this. 6 tackles there, 6 marks. Does it all. One to definitely watch. Just in case, and this is what I was saying about, and you'll hear me say it countless times, is flexibility. We'll get to Georgie Prespakis' game and a half and whatever the heck that was, because it was a hell of a game from her. We'll get to that. But having Prespakis at M4, I think, is now just a reality for most people with the value she presents. But if she fails and McDonald or a Smith or a Lambert or a Patricios all do well, then you're in the money there. So that's what I would say about that. You got Smith 101 as well, 25 touches, 6 tackles. Lambert 18 touches, 10 tackles. She just does what she wants to do. She's, I think, been a one that I've never actually owned in AFLW Fantasy, but one that I've just always thought puts up decent scores. Patricios, a 73. I know it's probably a little bit unders, but I don't see there being ultra value there just yet, and I'd rather hold on her and go for other girls that I definitely see value there. I definitely like Patricios, I don't, and I've probably said her name 4 different ways. I just don't see her going up to that level to be the top liner and not have to be traded. I know that she was going to have to be traded even if she does her absolute best. Whereas there's like Georgie Prespakis could be like a round 9 or 10 type of trade. That's how good she could become. So that's why I'd rather go her, because I think that there's the same amount of value and upside, but I think that there's the capability of me just holding Prezi for the whole year. Serene Watson, she did what she had to do, and the fact that it was a wet game and she still went 69 gives me a lot of confidence. We know that with her numbers, that if she plays a full game outside of the first 2 games, if you remove those first 2 games, it goes up to a 73.5. So yeah, that's she averaged for the year. I think she's priced at 68 or so, give or take, 67.6. So yeah, she's just there. She's just a banker. And yeah, she's not going to have the most value in the forward, not the forward line, the defender line, but she's going to be one that is just going to be in the top 7, I have a feeling. And then pretty much no one else really mattered too much in terms of the St. Kilda. One thing to note is that Wardlaw didn't actually play in the ruck from what I've seen here. And so that's an interesting note that they've gone hung in there before her. So that's definitely interesting. It looks like them. I mean, there's no ruck actually playing. Maybe they just didn't play a ruck in there to save them and to hide something, but we'll see about that. And I don't think there was any Oat over Karras. Oat and Karras, is it? Is Karras just not in this over Karras? That's interesting, actually, now thinking about it. Karras didn't even get a game, did she? That's interesting. But yeah, the St. Kilda is a side that basically is just going to end up being Serene Watson for us. I don't see there really being anyone too particular that I'm going to go for outside of her, even in the end game, the final couple rounds. Maybe Wardlaw sneaks in there, but I think Wardlaw could be one that really drops off this year a little bit. Just because the role is probably going to be pretty poor, but we'll wait and see about that one there. Then we get to North Melbourne versus Essendon, and the usual crew for North Melbourne absolutely dominated, with Garner going and grabbing 24 touches. So she has her possession, Queen next to her and Riddell there, who just absolutely dominated. But those two are irregular, and they absolutely took the mickey and some. Riddell, 33 touches, 5 marks, 5 tackles. It's just not even funny. It's just annoying how good they are. Garner with the 24, but a lot more damaging with 3 goals. That is a damaging, and that would probably, I wonder who watched this game more heavily, but that's surely a 24 and 3 goals probably would etch out a 33 touch game for best on ground. But those two, it's basically one gets the 3 votes, one gets the 2 votes, unless they're playing like an Ebony Marinoff at this rate. Those two are just so good. And they will end up in our sides come the end of the season, I hazard a guess, because they're going to average around about that 110 or so, 105, 110, which we know, if we just quickly scroll this out again, is going to be top of the line. So yeah, that's a really, really good thing. One thing as some have flagged in the comments here is that Libby Birch looked really good. And that is true. 100, when you score 100, you're doing something right. So yeah, 100 flat for her, 20 touches, 10 marks. Obviously, we don't think that that's going to happen. She's not going to average 100 as a defender because that just doesn't happen. But there is potential for value there. I'm pretty sure I was one that I definitely had a little look at, but yeah, will be interesting. But as Corey has said, they basically didn't have any of their distributors there for the full game, changing everything up. So Birch is, I'm trying to think in terms of, is she actually a valuable play? Because she's right in that D5 discussion, alongside the likes of Gabby Pound, alongside some have Georgia Stathis there, some others have others, but yeah, she could be a play, but I don't think in the long run she will be when you have Carney coming back. Probably, I don't know exactly the timeline for Carney, but I would hazard a guess it'd be in the first couple of rounds. Sheeran should be back by then as well. So that would mean that she's probably going to lose her role and be relegated back to the role that she had to end last year, which just is not a good enough role for scoring. And then no one else really did anything magnificent or anything. Tripodi just couldn't get the ball on boot. If she did, then that's a 75 and she looks all right, but is irrelevant because she is a mid only, I'm led to believe. If I just go and look at Tripodi here, mid only at 826K, no thank you. And then no one else really from memory. Boyd, 54. Interesting, but similar point or preference to the likes of Birch is that they basically didn't have any of their backline there present. So her scoring is probably a little bit inflated and she might not even get games. And then and you can see here, Sheeran only played a half a footy as well. So that is completely fine. She'll be there for round one, obviously, and that'll eat into both Boyd and also the likes of Birch there. So can't really go there either. And nothing really, no rookies for North Melbourne. Nothing really to look at elsewhere. Let's just quickly look at the highest owned players here for North Melbourne. Boyd still highly owned. I don't think she gets a run. And I don't also, like I've been saying countless times, don't really want to start those 300K players in any line just because it really is rough. And so, I want to stay away from the 300K girls because they can easily flatline and you're just losing cash gen quickly. And then no one else outside of that really am I looking at, to be honest with you. And then we get down to Essendon. And it is hard to read anything out of this. One thing I will say is that Murphy did all right. Whether you start Murphy, different question. I wouldn't also be probably even starting her R2 just because there's, I think, other solo 300K rucks. So I think that's where I'll go with that. But she did actually put in a pretty good showing there with 8 touches and 5 tackles alongside 13 hitouts. Too good back to her best with 15 touches and 6 marks. Didn't even have to contribute a goal to get a pretty decent stat line there. So that was good to see that, to be honest with you, because, we did need to see some pretty good things out of the likes of her. She is one of the biggest locks of the whole season. I'm just trying to bring up the news from Madison Gay's injury. I'm just trying to find it for you guys because I believe it was a ACL strain, which Dr. Google says is roughly around about the 1 to 2 weeks out. So I am just searching a little bit here to try and find out what the injury timeline for her was, but and just trying to almost find it for you guys. But let's go to here and just go and search it up for you because that's probably just going to be easier, to be honest with you. And let's go to AFLW because it's hopefully going to have the latest here about it. Injury update here. So as you can see, suffered an injury to her left knee, etc. Scans to reveal the injury. Strain to her ACL, requiring rehabilitation over the coming weeks. I'd hazard a guess she is touch and go for round 2, I think, based on Dr. Google, which is about as confident as absolutely nothing. So take that with the biggest grain of salt that you can, because it's probably just wrong. But that will cause chaos in the defender line. There's no other way to say it than that. Her absence is going to cause chaos. Because we know from what we'll get to later with Lucas Rodd, but those are the top 2 defenders by a country mile in terms of average from last year that you cannot start. You cannot feasibly start the top 2 scoring defenders from last year. So will be interesting to see how everyone sort of diverges. I do think it will lead to a little bit of a mid-price or high-end mid-price madness, a lot of 700Ks and 600Ks, because a lot of the defenders one of the defenders basically got struck off, one of the rookies in that of Izzy Bacon. So yeah, I can't really rely on the defender rookies as much as I think a lot of others can or will. I don't know. It's just me being not wanting to lose that flexibility and not wanting to get stuck. So I'm really going shallow on the defender rookies. There's only basically 2 under 430k that I actually have a semblance of liking. But yeah, that's it. And so there could be a role open up early for an Essendon halfback, but I don't think in the long run that she, whoever replaces, I think it's going to, is it going to be Gayla who goes back into the back line in place of Maddie Gay? Potentially, but like it's not going to last long enough to be any bit fruitful. So I would be staying away from that. And basically in all, Essendon have no one. If you actually look at the scores when they translate over to any of this, if we just actually go to Essendon here, you'll see Too Good is obviously huge. Highly owned Maddie Gay is going to drop massively. She's currently, and we will double check this in. I need to actually write it down or type it up on my phone so that I can double check this next week. But she is 31.99% owned. So we'll check next week what she is owned by, because that's probably going to drop into maybe the 15% range, because a lot of people will have a little bit of a sneaky look at the practice games that we had. But yeah, as you can see, not many Essendon girls that are very, very liked, I would say. Just looking at Van Dijk to see how did she go 32. So yeah, even a lot of the rookies didn't do well, to be honest with you. Moving on to the next game, GWS versus Carlton. This one absolutely dominated by Alice Parker. She went nuts, 30 touches, 7 tackles, and all for a 116, which is really good. I've seen McCormack flown around a little bit in teams, and she did go 18 touches, 7 tackles, 5 hitouts. That'll be interesting. I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, that GWS got another ruck, did they? Let's actually just check in terms of the ruck line. It's O'Dowd and Flo Davies. So, and Davies is out for the first little bit, if my memory serves me correct. No, she played. Then where is O'Dowd not there? Is that what I was thinking? Is interesting. But yeah, their ruck line is interesting because you got Cos, Davies, and Fletcher. And then McCormack also doing ruck. Everyone decided to just ruck in this game, basically. Yeah, O'Dowd was playing in Ireland. That's what it was. I knew one of them was missing. Just didn't know which one it was. O'Dowd obviously is going to be the main ruck when she returns from Ireland. She was playing, I'm going to guess, she was probably playing a Gaelic football, I would hazard a guess, over there or something of that regard in the off season, and then going to come back over, as a lot of the men, some of the men do that as well. But yeah, that's you'd expect O'Dowd to be back, I would hazard a guess, for the main part of the season, because that is only 10. What are we now? 8 days away from the season. But yeah, I'm just seeing if there's anything to suggest that she will when she'll be back, but I'm not seeing anything. Tight turnaround, here we go. So just looking at this article from May 7th, the Irish AFLW players coinciding with one of the tightest turnarounds between Gaelic football and AFLW season. As it stands, O'Dowd, Mackin, Goldrick, Maloney, and Vicky Wall will all be missing either a portion of preseason due to their commitments. And then you've also got Hogan from Collingwood due to football, and then Rowell and Atkinson will be fine. But yeah, Grace Coles is there at Giants HQ from day one, etc. Just looking at others, yeah, it looks like there's just utter chaos in terms of just being away and all that. Looking here, but yeah, should be fine in the long run from what I'm seeing. As the semi-final was held last year on July 20th with the AFL season study XYZ, and it must be a little bit later of a turnaround. But yeah, it's quite a lot of Irish girls in the AFL, as we know. And yeah, they just won on the weekend. Does anyone, Grizzly, do you know if that is the grand final that they were playing in, or if that's the semi-final? Because if it's another finish on the weekend, okay, makes sense. That makes sense. Obviously, physics says you can't be in two places at once, so they were obviously over in Ireland. They'll get back, and you'd expect them to play round one, but yeah, touch and go about that. But yeah, yeah, good that it's the grand final, because if they were missing, that would cause chaos. And it probably diminishes it maybe makes McCormack a massive red flag, like thinking about it logically, because she's obviously not going to ruck in games. Or at least I don't believe she will, because you'll have if Davies does play, you'll have Davies and O'Dowd, and that'll be enough. So she's not going to get the ruck. And if she isn't going to get the ruck, isn't she just going to play almost a key defender role? And if we look at her just quietly here, because she is going to be somewhere here, McCormack. If we just look here, 622K, average of 48 from 5 games, and then I go to DFS as well. Let's see this. I'm pretty sure, yeah, she's not going to do terribly well. I don't think she's ever done terribly well. I think she's always been, it'll be this one here. As you can see, 48, 26, 40. I am not jumping on that, because I can see massive red flags there. She even played as a ruck in season 7 and averaged 40. I just think this is, and she had a game where she scored at 65, etc. So yeah, I could see her at best averaging like 55, 50, and that's just not good enough at an average of 48. So yeah, I just don't expect her to do terribly well, to be honest with you. And I think this is just a little bit of a red flag there on roll. Smith, interesting on 83. If my memory serves me right, she isn't one of the, where is she? Smith here, 6'10 defender. Another, as I say, another 6'10 defender, also 600K, 700K defender, who is probably not going to score the greatest in season. Another probably just red flag. Brasendale, Beeson, Howley. Howley was one that I definitely did bring up when she put these stats on, because as a rookie, if you're getting bulk numbers like that, she's going to be able to add 2 or 3 more tackles, I have a feeling, if she is going to get that role. So if she gets that role and adds 2 or 3 tackles in this, she could score a 75 so easily. And then even take away just a couple of her touches, take away sort of 4 touches, she could easily go 16-4 if she's finding the ball as well as she did on the weekend. So she's definitely come into conversations as Howley, or at least from the point of view of me, just because she, I believe, if I'm right in saying, is 408K, a rookie, someone that I looked at in preseason, but I wasn't too fond on because of Centra and Zippy Fish being such an obvious pairing. But with Centra being a race for round 1, it could throw up Howley as just an M6 replacement there. Sir Hoy did all right, and then you have the other chaos that was the likes of Cos, Davies, and the likes of Fletcher also rucking. They just had everyone ruck. And then we move on to Carlton here, and Carlton is an interesting case. There was a lot to take out of what that game was. So obviously Goering and Mimhill, I think it's Mimhill, did really, really well. But are they really going to be valuable come the start of the season? Because Mimhill, they're kind of priced where they're going to go. Like, in all honesty, I don't expect them to go terribly more. So there's just no value, not going to be top liner. Same with Shearer. Don't think there's any value there. Keck, interesting, 71. If we just quickly look up Keck here, a 438k mid could be interesting if she gets the role. But as you see here, she went on 19 touches and 4 tackles. Could be definitely a watch there alongside what we were saying with the likes of Howley just up recently. And then you get Skepo Goss, Vesio 66. She had 32 in the back half and then was swung forward and scored 34. So that, that is interesting. Probably a little bit of a turnoff there, just because her role's interchanging. If she's going to be a utility, we know that utilities don't generally score well. You want a very, very defined role. So I don't like that there, and probably leans more to the Butler type of player as well. And also just need to take it. Well, Gabby Pound, I'm pretty sure Corey can respond on this. I would hazard a guess Gabby Pound only played a half given the stats there. I have a feeling that is the case, but could be wrong about that because 30 just seems off for her a little bit, to be honest with you, with what she's done in the past, only getting 6 touches there. And outside of that, nothing really interesting. And yeah, as some are saying, it was a wet game, which probably didn't help the marking potential of these girls as well. But yeah, there wasn't much looking at it here quickly that you really took out of this game, to be honest with you. Vesio probably is the only one that you'd start to really consider to take out of sides. I know that I've done it. I don't know if I've done it exactly yet with a direct replacement, but we will see about that. I may go to someone like a Cox or someone like that. I just need to see role and all that, etc. again. And so we move on to Brisbane versus Sydney. And this one, we needed this one. We needed this one for the sake of our backlines. And I am so glad that she actually played where we all wanted her to play. Conan played in the midfield. And look at that scoring. It rocketed up, and that's exactly what we needed. A direct replace. She is right in that bunch. A direct replacement for Goodwin, who had a stinker, which we'll get to as well. But yes, 108 from Conan, and that's what we needed. She's gone from a potential, maybe to a definite now. She's got the role. She scored in preseason, and yeah, she may fail in season, but that was an absolutely stunning display. And if we think about it, and I will just quickly show you what exactly I'm thinking. If we go to the defender line and go to average, she only needs to average 67. 67? She could do that in her sleep with what she did. She could rest her feet in the last quarter with the way she went. So yeah, she is going to be one that I think a lot of us are going to gratefully now own because she showed us that. And I'm just thankful that that happened because that saves a lot of cash and a lot of worry if she keeps on with that role, because that's a humongous role. That's a Sheeran of last year type of role where legitimately she can average 75, 80 and just be one of the best pickups. And I think she's verging on lock territory, I would say. Conan 107, 18 touches, 5 marks, 7 tackles, and 2 goals. There it is. That's what propped her up. She did all right. Ali Anson, I don't think with Conan in the midfield now that you can probably go for her, but maybe that's just my thoughts there. O'Dwyer, Postlewaite. Ellinger only 64. She's going to have good games, bad games, but we know the bar is so low for defenders, so you can probably just have a stab on her doing all right. And then outside of that, ain't really nothing because Brisbane are such a good side. But yeah, as everyone is saying, Conan is an absolute lock and a half. Throw away the key. And then we get to Sydney. Now, here's where the big debate lies, because a lot of people have this debate between Gardner and Robot. Now, my thoughts are, and I've said this quite a lot, is that I like Rowbottom over Gardner for 2 reasons. One, I think Sydney's midfield is more stacked than Gold Coast. I think that for that reason, you've got the likes of Ham, Kennedy. What the heck is going on with the Sydney scoring? Sydney scoring, they just decided they would go in disposal order and not in the actual score order. So that's going to make it a little bit confusing. But yes, Sydney have, let's just run through this. Kennedy, Hurley, Ham. Let me just find someone. Maloney. I think even Holly Cooper's going to potentially get a little bit of time on board. Malloy isn't. Know that for certain. I don't expect, and we didn't even see Cynthia Hamilton play, and I don't expect her to play as an on-baller, but she didn't play. And then there's also potential for Lucy McAvoy there as well. So you just got so many beyond doubt. I think there's like 6 other midfielders there potentially that could take the spot there. And there's also talk of potentially Hassinger doing it as well. So yeah, there's way too many in my opinion to you can't count out a drop of points because of that. And then also another thing is that I really like the really big tacklers, and Gardner she does put up tackle numbers, but she doesn't put up numbers to the respect of she doesn't put up tackling numbers. Well, she put up 9.1 in that year and then 5.9. So basically all her points last year actually was dropped from tackles. And that mostly is actually due to Tanya Kennedy, if I remember correctly. Tanya Kennedy coming into the midfield. Look at this, 5.2, 8.8. That's where the drop-off happened. So, yeah, and you can just almost see it there. So when she plays on ball 10, 12, etc., massive tackle numbers, and that's where the drop-off is. So that's why I'd rather Rowbottom, who doesn't have as much competition in that midfield. Doesn't have as much competition, and her numbers are also mostly due to tackles, actually. But her numbers are mostly due to tackles and on a lot more free kicks, which if you actually know with the holding the ball, it should actually help the likes of Rowbottom and others who are large tacklers get that extra kick or 2 potentially per game, extra free kick. If we think about it, they may lay another 5 holding the ball tackles per game. Not per game, per season, maybe even upwards of 1 per game. That's an extra potentially 2 to 4 points per game, just naturally because of a rule change. So that's why I want to go with the likes of a Rowbottom who's slightly less touches. And when I mean slightly, it's like 5 or 6 less touches, but a little bit more tackle and mark based over the likes of the aforementioned Laura Gardner. Because Laura Gardner is more reliant on disposals than the likes of Charlie Rowbottom. So that's the reasoning there. And then we will swap this over to Sydney for you guys. Zippy Fish, obviously hugely owned, and she did well. She did a 77 off halfback, job done. 14 kicks, 4 handballs, 3 marks, 2 free kicks, 4 and 4 tackles. She's going to be a gun. And I think I'm on this question about Zippy Fish on field or on bench. I think most because of Centra starting to show signs of not being 100% for round 1. I think a lot of people will shift Zippy on field and cop it a little bit. Maybe if Centra does return to form, not return to form, return to the field, I should say. But yeah, it will be interesting. But I do think a lot of people are shifting towards Zippy on the field there. Now we get elsewhere. Hurley as well. I'm surprised about this one. She's been a talk of the preseason, and to come out and only score 50, interesting. I think that could also eat into Gardner's point scoring, whereas like Rowbottom does have the likes of Whitford there and thereabouts, but she doesn't also have the likes of Tanya Kennedy, who takes away your tackling, Tanya Kennedy did not lay a damn tackle. That's probably, I'm starting to see the red flags there with Laura Gardner, to be honest with you, in terms of where the points are being spread around in that midfield. And I'm just really concerned that Tanya Kennedy not laying a tackle is almost more concerning than Gardner actually scoring well. Not scoring, but like the correlation there, I just have a feeling is a little bit of concern. And I don't think Tanya Kennedy's going to move to halfback. So yeah, that's the reason why I'm a little bit concerned about that, as well as Hurley's scoring. Moffat only played, I think, managed minutes, which would probably lend to 3/4. So yeah, she plays wing. She lines up on the wing and then runs into the center as they clog the center. Basically, it's like Ham plays on the wing and still gets midfield minutes. They have way too many midfielders. And that's why I don't think Malloy is actually going to be a pick, not only because she's coming back off an ACL, it's because she is said that she is going to basically play wherever the team needs to get the job done. It doesn't need to be on ball. And I think that's where she should be playing. Her and Cynthia Hamilton alongside Darcy Maloney should be your half forwards. And then you go with two talls and then a small off the bench, and you've suddenly got a really, really good forward line. That's what it should be. We'll see what turns out, but I have a feeling the role for Malloy's not going to look good this year. Both of them play off the wing. It's just a matter of fact. Ham did it last year. Kennedy could do it this year. She's still going to go in on ball eventually and get her minutes on ball and take away the tackles of Gardner. So, yeah, that's the more concerning part, is because, yeah. And you've also got to factor in that I just think that it's also that they are playing sort of managed minutes, a lot of them. They're also playing in different positions, experimenting a couple things. But, yeah, I just cannot see a world in which Kennedy isn't just on ball, potentially also helping with tagging and stuff like that, because she is the natural tagger for Sydney. And that's about it for Sydney. No, obviously you've got the big rookie in Fish there, but outside of that, they don't have anyone of real, I guess, is going to do really well. Martin, not going to score well. I was interested in the likes of Ham. Could be interesting this year. Could she be on for a breakout? And the funny thing was, we look at 66 and we go, that's not really what we need. Well, if we go forward and then we go all clubs, and then we go average, 66 suddenly looks amazing. It suddenly looks good enough. And so, yeah, we were talking about Maloney and all these ones being, because we also expect Zali Goldsworthy, her role is horrific. She's going to drop back down. She could drop back down into 60. That's how bad her role was. If that happens, then suddenly this area starts to clog up with a lot of this sort of 60-ness. And if you can get a Ham or someone like that who could play a midfield role for a little bit and really just do well, suddenly she's going to average 65, 70 and be almost top of the line. I know we've got Stannard returning, who we expect to be top of the line, but you're only going to need 65 or 70, so you might as well take a stab on a couple of those 55 girls in the forward line. And I think Montana Ham, we're just waiting for that breakout. It's going to happen, whether it be this year or next year. It's going to be one of these years. So I would much rather take on the chance of her having natural development this year, because she's forward classified, than next year, where she's probably just going to be a solo mid. So moving on to Gold Coast versus Geelong. Let us move on to, I think it is Gold Coast here. Let's get rid of all these forwards and put it onto here, and then go to selections. Charlie Rowbottom smashed it. 23 touches, 13 tackles. Job done. 4 free kicks, I should say. And she did do a little bit in the ruck, because why not? Because they don't have their number one ruck at the moment. So yeah, really, really good. Seeing that, and there was a lot to actually take out of this game in general, but Rowbottom absolutely mauled it. And then another thing that I think a lot of people need to sort of look at as well, me included, is McLaughlin's 88. We know what Daisy Darcy has done in the past in that same role, and so yeah, that's all that I'm going to say. She just looks really, really good, McLaughlin, and one that I'm willing to almost take a flyer on at like 640k or so, just because she looked really good. And if she does really well, then she could potentially become a top of the line one, because her role is pretty much, really good. Obviously, the new ruck rule, not waiting for rucks, will help it out. And that's where Charlie Rowbottom could actually do well because she's one of the tallest players on the field anyway. So she might just nominate for a couple of rucks as well, which could actually help her out because she might get a couple of hit outs in general. And then just, I mean, she's going to be around the contest anyway, but a couple of hit outs more can't hinder her, surely. But yeah, that was really good. McLaughlin getting a hit out is weird when you think about it because I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying that Neem McLaughlin is like 160 centimeters or something. I want to see how tall she is because I'm pretty sure she is one of the shorter ones. But yeah, that's quite funny about that, I would say. But yeah, that's McLaughlin. Let me just see here quickly. She is a total of 157 centimeters. 157 centimeters getting hit out. Yep. Interesting. They haven't added the replacement player who played ruck to these stats. Is that why they're all spread out a little bit instead of just concentrating on one player? Because I did hear about this, that they did have a replacement player in for who was it Bella, Laura Bella, that did a calf strain? I'm pretty sure. Their number one ruck for the likes of Gold Coast. And so, yeah, that was it's interesting to see that there. But Rowbottom, job done. Preseason over. She's done her role. And she is locked and loaded in my side at M2 because tackling is there. Didn't even have to get the disposals to get to a 125. If she gets her 30-odd touches there, that's a 140, 150 type score. And she didn't even kick a goal. So job done. McLaughlin, as we said, single. Mithen, 81, doesn't really matter. And then really nothing matters outside of that for the likes of Gold Coast. Then we move over to the likes of Geelong. Georgie Prasparkas, what the heck? 20 kicks, 20 handballs, 40 touches in total, and 9 tackles, and 2 goals. She basically did everything that she needed. And yeah, Prasparkas, absolute gun. That was a huge performance from her. And if you didn't start her now, there's blaring lights to start her. There's almost a consideration to start like no rookie in the midfield. I have looked at that, but I just can't not go there, to be honest with you. It's certainly... Let's just look at this for a second here, because we'll just see this. So if I was to go no rookie in the midfield, I'd probably have to go a rookie somewhere else. And let's just do this and get McLaughlin, because I've wanted to do this all day. Let's just swap that. So 258K, I've started to generate a little bit of cash holdings to save up for to get McGrath up to someone decent. And it may mean going down Ellinger to another sort of 600K girl or 700K girl to generate the cash, etc., to get up to the likes of or I could go actually Vesio down to someone, etc., like a Cox here that actually generates some more cash to do what I want to do. There we go. And then 393K, I'm pretty sure I can get close to Schultz, but not exactly on Schultz. 934K, so I need another 40K, which would come from basically a Brown down, etc., or a Centra down, etc. But Prasparkas, do I need to say more? Do I really need to say more? She is going to be, she's going to be, I reckon, 40-45% owned just because she went big, which is a little bit annoying, but yeah, job done. Dunlop here, 61, job done. She is going to, I think, just be R2. I think she started to break away from the pack in terms of role and scoring. She did outscore Murphy a little bit, but the role was just a lot more present with her. Don't think you can start her, but yeah, definitely one that I like the look of. 10 touches and 16 hitouts is huge. And so really like the look of that. And then outside of that, absolutely no one for Geelong. Not really a rookie in sight. And then we go over to Western Bulldogs versus West Coast Eagles. If we go over to the Stats Center, leave without saving, etc. I can change that back later anyway. But if we just go over to the clubs and go over to the West Coast Eagles, because they were the first one, Thomas and Roberts up there. But there was one name that shocked me, and when I saw it, I went, aha, that's who I want. and it was Wrench at 70 points, but the role was there. And that's all that we want, because I really don't like and I know that I'm pretty sure they didn't have a lot of their starting midfield, admittedly, but I really just like what I saw out of Wrench. Not enough to start her on field, but enough because, and a lot of people will be like, it's a 70. That's so much value. But I don't really see anyone below her to start as that D6 that I like at all. So she almost defaults as a D6, and I'll find options above her that I like, rather than getting stuck with 2 or 3 or 4 like 300k girls just because you wanted to put one on field per se. And that's the whole reason that I'm like, I found someone that's 300k that I can trust. Yep, job done. And yeah, Johnson got injured. Don't know what the injury was from memory, but I know that it was a major red flag. Rowley 65 is interesting as well, if I remember. I stuffed that up. Of course I did. 578k. That's what I was thinking. Yep. I thought, I thought she might be 400k for a second, but I thought it was most likely going to be a 500 to 600k midfielder, and it was. But yeah, that there was a lot to take out of this West Coast Western Bulldog team, and a lot of it had to do with the rookies. And Wrench is one that I'm like, yep. And Lewis, Lewis will probably take a little bit take chunks out of probably Wrench a little bit, but I don't think it will be as much. I don't think it will be enough that you're like, I am not starting her, because all that we need out of Wrench is a 55. All that we need out of 55, 50, and that's enough. That'll generate 55, I believe, is somewhere around that. If my memory serves me correct, I might as well not use my memory and use is 685. So, 685. Painter, what does she go? She went 53. I don't think she'll be necessarily... I understand your theory. Oh, sorry, not your theory, but your thoughts around this, Corey. I don't think she'll necessarily be affected in the sense of massively downscaling, etc. It might be a case that she just goes down into a new role, scores like 45 or so, rather than the 53 that she scored in the end. But I don't think she will be madly impacted as much as some others will be. Mainly, I think Wrench does lose a little bit, but all that we need out of Wrench is a 55, to be honest with you, for her to score well enough there. And then outside of that, there is really nothing much other to say except for McGrath. Everyone went, because McGrath is probably not an option. Well, I mean, she scored a 43, but you'd just rather she scored a 55. Like, come on now. Haven't heard of Woodley. What do you think of her? Woodley, where are we looking for Woodley? Probably should just do it this way. Woodley, okay, forward for the Western Bulldogs. I knew you were talking about this game, just thought you were talking about a West Coast Eagles girl for a second. But yeah, McGrath is someone that I'm hopefully going to find an avenue around, because that was worrying a little bit, because she could score 55, etc. And like, if we look at this, what she priced at, she's priced at roughly 499k divided by she's priced about 40 and she scored 43. Like, we really need that extra sort of 5 to 10 points, I would say. If she was going to average 55, it would have been job done, and that's like what we needed. But 40, like, she just isn't. She didn't first ruck in the second and third quarter. Yeah, and that's the real concern, is that Lakay's ruck numbers are up there too much, in my opinion. If you saw ruck numbers, and I know I'm going off hitouts, but if you saw ruck numbers of, say, 15 hitouts McGrath and sort of 5 to 10 hitouts Lakay, I would be, or 15, 20 hitouts McGrath and then 5 to 10 Lakay, I would be like, yep, perfect, rolls there, etc. She might have had just a poor game, etc., and she'll score better. But the roll is just half. She might get a 60% ruck roll, but that's just not good enough for the game, annoyingly. And so, yeah, I think she's one that we're awfully trying to trade out of at the moment. And then that's about it for them. And then Woodley, 82. Ooh, I would have to look back at the role that she definitely played just to make sure of it. But 9 tackles is going to go a long way to scoring well. I will say also that the likes of McGrath did come up against Edmonds, which is I think she's a really good negating ruckman from memory. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I'm pretty sure she's one. But yeah, Woodley did pretty well. 12 disposals, 9 tackles, and a goal. Would have to look into her role a little bit more. Blackburn, 17 touches, 5 tackles, 4 marks. Job ticked off, got through preseason, etc. Georgia Stathis is one that I'm intrigued about. I'm intrigued, but I'm also worried. And I'm worried and I'm terrified at the same time because we've seen it all before and we do this every single preseason. And yeah, 14 touches, all kicks, 5 marks, 3 tackles. I just don't know what to do with her. And yeah, Barry and Pritchard were out, so that's probably why Woodley will get a little bit of a run. If my memory serves me correct, and Corey, you can probably correct me on this, that those 2 are coming back in round 3 or 4, I believe. But yeah, McDonald, 67, another one that I should probably do a little bit of looking at. McDonald, if I just look here, there's so many McDonalds, it takes a while to get there. McDonald, 19-year-old, 392K. I'll do a little bit more research. I do want to, on the weekend, on Saturday, you'll see the forward edition. And then on Sunday, you will see the rookie edition for sort of the that series I've been doing, going through the positions and the primos, mid-prices, rookies, etc. of value. And now that we have more data, it's a little bit easy to say. McDonald, 14 touches, 4 and 3. I really do like the split here. So she will be one that potentially comes into consideration. We'll just have to see about that because, yeah, definitely did really well. And yeah. Gavales, I do think that Edmonds will probably take a little bit more points off here, but not terribly much. And then no one else really of notice except for Carruthers, who has an inability to actually score. And if she's in my side, I want her out. I'm pretty sure she's out of my side. Good, she's out of my side. And also, I just can't stand that. We'll go there. But yeah, that's sort of what I'm thinking there. Carruthers, no go. Then we go to, I'm pretty sure this is second last game of the third last game. We've got a lot to go through, so we'll get through this a little bit quicker now. Marinoff, 120, job done. Yep, she's fine. Hatchard, 91, job done, fine. Tonin, interesting one now, battling it out, in my opinion, with the likes of Butler to be that F5, because I'm pretty sure if I go through Tonin here and quickly, 459K, Butler, 458K. Yeah, that's interesting. So yeah, that'll be certainly a watch there with regards to that, as yeah, there's definitely some value there. I have a feeling she might just skip in over there, over the likes of Butler into my side. And then Goodwin, not what we wanted. And from memory and from speaking to people who watched the game more closely, is that she was, I believe, on a wing and not really that good of an option. So that's why she sort of swapped with Conan. And when we saw what Conan did and what happened with Goodwin, I went, yep, those 2 are swapping. I'll take the extra little bit of cash there as well. I think it's 14K spare that you get between those 2. And then no one of note, and you can see why a lot of people turned off Ewings, because she had 6 touches and a goal and only got to 28, which just is not good enough for fantasy purposes, to be honest with you guys. And then Rashid, 14, that's a little bit disappointing, I would say, to be honest with you. But yeah, anyway. Now, moving on to Melbourne. Katie Hall with a 1-2-3. she's a midfield owned. If she only was a forward, she would be like 70% owned because they were like, yep, job done, etc. But yeah, 1, 2, 3, 26 touches, 5 marks, 7 tackles, 3 goals, did everything. But yeah, I just don't expect her to be one that gets picked too much because I have a feeling that she will probably average 85, 90, but which won't be as damaging in the midfield compared to when she was a forward. McNamara, a 118, job done there for her. Don't think many will pick her though. Purcell, 92. Heath, 89. Now, Heath, I just want to double check the positioning for her. Heath, defender, 699k. That's an intriguing watch there, but 17 touches for her, 10 tackles. Interesting watch. Paxman, I believe, was on the wing, 19 touches, 6 marks, 3 tackles. She was one that I potentially was looking at, but I don't like wing. So, yeah, that's one to give a miss. And Heath is potentially going to come back into consideration from what I'm seeing here. Hanks, Chaplin, Fitzsimmons, Molly O'Hare with a 50. Intriguing because she's a 412k mid. And we need another midfielder that's going to score well. But I think we already showed earlier on that there's probably 3 or 4 that are ahead of her in the pecking order, but we'll just see when we get team news on the Wednesday and Thursday, I believe. And yeah, a fade for most just because there's too much chaos with the Irish girls and stuff. And I forget who's coming back for each team, except for my own in Sydney, who have, I'm pretty sure all their Irish girls back already. But yeah, O'Hare, I just think is a greater chance of diminishing that role, and that would really suck. And then no one else of any note here, to be honest with you. So there's that. Then we get over to Richmond versus Hawthorn, and again, we've decided to go with which order have they? What have they even ordered this off of? I'm looking at this. It is off of the. I was going to say it looks way too low, but it is actually just a lot descending order from score again. But yeah, Conti top score with a 67. I'd hazard a guess that she played modified minutes because why would you score a 67 as a primo? So yeah, yeah. And no one did well because Hawthorn absolutely smashed them. But Seymour, 59. The big interesting thing for me in this game was, and I'm pretty sure we won't actually know, is who's going to start ruck because I don't see a McKinnon in here. And if McKinnon's not here, and obviously the likes of Pop Kelly scored 27, far out, of 14 hitouts. Yeah, McKinnon didn't play. That I just wish we had McKinnon play because if McKinnon did put up a 60, I think she would be like 60% owned or 50% owned, honestly. Because we just need some semblance of value in that ruck line because I think a lot of people like Schultz, but she's like 30, 40k too expensive almost for their taste. So it's like, yeah, interesting. But yeah, as everyone says as people are saying in the comments, Lucas Robb was everywhere, which kind of deadened her role a little bit. Cox 43, like even look at that going, she's probably going to score more in general when we get into the season. So I'm not too concerned about Cox, and if she can score a 50, I don't think there's going to be many other rookie forwards or any forwards they're going to like really out damage her. So a 43 or 50 off the bench as just a cash generating option, not the worst, I would say. But I am like crossing my fingers going, uh-oh. So yeah. But anyway, not really much else to really look at for Richmond, and we probably just want to stay away from them. And then we get to Hawthorn, and their highest was an 85. So it's like, did you really learn anything out of this game? I don't think so. But Lucy Wales with an 85, sharing the role with Vukic, probably a little bit too much than we liked, but she had 14 touches, 7 tackles, and 10 hitouts there. And outside of that, not gonna lie, not much that impressed me in this game. Lucas Rodder, 68, but she was playing, as some said, up forward. That's probably just going to damage her scoring and really limit her ceiling games. So, yeah, she probably will still be a top 4, top 5 defender. but it's going to be a lot closer to those middling sort of top 5 to 10 defenders than being the runaway top 2 with Matty Gay in last year. And then outside of that, and I'm probably going to miss a rookie or two in general, but yeah, that don't think there was anyone that really stood out to me, to be honest with you. And then Baba suspended before debut. That's interesting. So yeah, that kind of sucks. But we move on to Port Adelaide versus Collingwood. And I don't know what people were saying about Ella Heads. Like, she's coming back into consideration. I know there's new game style this, game style that, etc. But she's going to get kicking. She's going to score. Like, at the end of the day, if she isn't put on a wing, for the last 2 years in Sydney's system, she's averaged like 70-something. So, yeah. I think I might swing back to 1 goal 12. Yeah, of course it was. So maybe you take a little bit off that. But can she still average? She's the type of pick that I think I'm willing to take the risk on if it enables me, and people will understand. Let's actually just show you for semblance sake. Say we get rid of the likes of Ellinger and go heads here, because I think that will help a little bit out. Heads. Does that get me all the way up to? It doesn't, by just a little bit. Stuff off Brown for a second here. Let's just put in Howley for a second here, because it will get this. It will show what I'm meaning here. But that gets me enough cash with heads there to get McGrath up to Schultz, which saved me a little bit of worry about the defender line. And like, is heads versus the likes of Ellinger really going to be much of a difference? That's what I'm sort of considering it. And heads almost gets me Schultz, which for a little bit. And I obviously can move Centro around and move some other people around, etc. And free it up a little bit. But yeah, heads will be interesting. I'll probably do a little bit more research, but this was the type of stat line that she was putting up at Sydney so regularly. Like, it's not like she was going ridiculous with the marks and the slow play and everything. Like 3 to 4 marks per game. It wasn't outlandish, but you just see here a 63 on 13 touches, 19 touches for a 67, 12 touches here. If you actually look at it, if Port Adelaide are going to play this sort of slow, not really a slow game style, if they're actually going to play a fast game style and she's getting these tackles, it's actually tackles that does really well for her. If we look at it, 4.6, 4.5 tackles per game. So, yeah, obviously do need to look at it a little bit more, but I'm actually more intrigued about this from Ella Heads. Brooksby, all right. Window, she much the same of what I was saying with Montana Ham. Window is there or thereabouts, and she's probably going to have a breakout, but we just don't know when. And I'm willing to take the risk more so because she's a forward. And then Tahoe with the 54. Pretty sure someone said that she might play a backup ruck role. Will be interesting if that is the case. And then you have Schultz with a 40. I know for a fact that she did that in a half, basically against Frederick or right-ish. So, yeah, that's actually a really decent score. So Schultz is someone that I'm looking at and going, she might average sort of 75, 80 Schultz, but she'll get us away from the chaos that is the, if we look at here, she's priced at 72. If she goes and scores 80 or so, she'll basically be holding value. But, yeah, she should just be able to basically give us time, because I have a feeling Strom's going to go down in price quite a lot. And there's also a chance that Schultz, because she's going to basically play a solo role, is going to do better than 80 in the game and go sort of that 90 or so range, which could do really well. And then we get to Collingwood here, just trying to get through all this because I know this is the last one, Collingwood. Good. Okay, good. Ken, 92, 20 touches, 9 tackles. Ramos, 87. Now, I'm pretty sure Ramos is annoyingly in that 500K. Yep, 542, and that's why we don't care really too much. Bonucci's 86. Schleicher, 81. None of these are really like standing out because believe midfielder. Barnett's a forward, but I don't think she's going to get put up this regularly, to be honest with you. So I don't think that's too much of a concern. Frederick Ruck, I don't think she's going to be in the top tier rucks, or at least present value this year. And I'm pretty sure she might have also been managed already. She might get managed this year to just try and get her through this year. White, Lee, Atkinson, Reynolds, Hogan, Shoot, Howarth with a 29. That was really poor. And then that's about it. You obviously had a lot of girls on managed minutes. And also Clark, I would not be picking her, even though she'll get games, because she scored a 4 and she's a key. And she will probably have games where she doesn't do anything like that. But anyway, I think that is a good place to probably leave this live stream for today. And we'll get back to it more next week. I am planning on doing one on Wednesday and Thursday night there. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that. And I will see you guys back here for more videos with AFL men starting to come to a close. And then the women's obviously heating up with the season starting in 8 days' time. But I will see you guys in the next live stream and next couple of videos for AFLW in the coming days. So I'll see you guys then. Bye, guys.